Why do we even homeschool? Our children aren't peaceful all the time. Our homes are not blissful all the time. And I think sometimes we just need a reminder that homeschooling is truly a gift. So I thought that we would talk about that today. My name is Binz, and I'm the HomeScholar, and I'm really glad that you're joining me today, and I hope you find this encouraging. I just wanted to say hi to all my friends down in Oregon. I live in Seattle, Washington, and my sister-in-law lives down there in Sublimity, and so I love traveling down there, and I do have lots of friends down there, so this is kind of fun for me to be able to join you today. So listen, let's talk about homeschooling being a gift. And I know that not every day feels like a gift because laundry piles up, babies start crying, children have a fit over math, for example. But there are many moments that are a gift, right? The first time they read a sentence, the first time they wrote a story, the first time their science lessons clicked. News reports often will make us thankful that we are homeschooling. And I know that for me, it was difficult to think about homeschooling being a gift towards the end of the day, because like 3 o'clock would come around and I was just tired. I was just tired of thinking, tired of talking, tired of having heavy, deep conversations with intellectual children who cared about things that I didn't care about. It was exhausting. And so I do think that it's important for us to think about, why are we doing this job when it's hard? Okay, so first of all, let's think about this. Homeschooling is a gift to your children. And why is that? It's because, just in general, kids have more fun when they're homeschooling. They have more time to play. Homeschooling itself is more fun than school because you can include the things that they enjoy doing. Homeschooling is more efficient. One study showed that homeschoolers can get it done in 20 minutes where it takes a school 50 minutes to get each lesson or whatever done, because there's all that waiting in line and, you know, raising your hand and that sort of thing. And so with homeschooling being more efficient, that means that you can get it done more quickly. And of course, there's also less boredom as well. The other thing that's a gift to your children is that it's safe. You know, children learn more when they're safe and secure, and they do feel more safety when they're at home. There's no bullies. There's also no bullying, you know. My children were in public school through 3rd and 5th grade, and then we started homeschooling. And one of my children was actually getting beaten up. The other child was actually considering beating up other people. And so I've seen it from both sides, the bullying and the being bullied. But it also, homeschooling provides less negative feedback, especially if you have a struggling learner, so they don't get that damage to their self-esteem, sometimes permanent damage to their confidence. You know, the voices that children hear when they're younger, that becomes their inner dialogue. And so you really want to make sure that they're not getting all this negative feedback. But homeschooling is also a gift to your children because it's better for their health. If you don't know me already, I'm actually an RN, a registered nurse, and so I care deeply about the health of children. And having a homeschooling family means you can have a healthier family. It can improve sleep, as they can sleep when they need to. It improves nutrition because you've got that lunchtime meal together. There's less obesity. They may be more physically active, have more active play, decreased exposure to communicable diseases. They can stay home when they're sick and they're not out of school, that sort of thing, which leads to this thought about being a high quality education too, because homeschooling is an improved education where they can learn at their own pace, and you as the parent get to teach them what's really important. You can use enrichment classes or activities that they crave, but at the same time you get to skip any crazy requirements that maybe was put into the public school system this year. You can avoid any inappropriate lessons. You can change any terrible curriculum. And that all makes for better education. When you have a better education, then you increase the love of learning. And the other thing that homeschoolers do to increase the love of learning is we can meet our child's learning style. We can incorporate their interests. We can provide them only enough practice in, say, math problems so that they can learn, and we don't have to bury them in practice with math problems if they already know the material. So you can accommodate for any weaknesses, but at the same time encourage their strengths. And that's all why homeschooling is a gift to your children. But that's not the only way that homeschooling is a gift. The second way is that homeschooling is a gift to our family. What you're doing when you're homeschooling, and it may not feel like this, what you're doing when you're homeschooling is you're giving your family the gift of peace, okay? Having a crazy busy schedule, that is completely optional when you're homeschooling. You can skip the rat race. You can do school in your pajamas. You can prioritize family harmony. In fact, often the first new benefit that brand new homeschoolers see is peace in their home, because as they begin to homeschool and the family spends more time together without the structure of school, that actually promotes family harmony, and it gives the family more flexible hours, especially if parents are working odd hours. It gives you time to deal with issues together as a family. If, you know, two of the kids are fussing all the time, you get to identify that there's a problem and deal with it when you're awake and alert instead of late at night. And all of that leads to family closeness. And of course, you get to promote these sibling relationships too. They have a bonding. Part of that is because we can monitor and limit any bullying that happens between siblings, but it's also helpful because as they spend more time with the other kids in the family, they start to develop this bonding and closeness without thinking that their siblings are somehow not cool, not worthy, and they can come to enjoy one another better. And even homeschooling can become more collaborative. And in fact, there's a word for that. It's called co-socialization, which means that the siblings socialize in the same friendship group. So they may have mutual friends, mutual play dates when they start younger, and they have similar interests that can be encouraged. So one of the benefits then, the gift that you're giving your family, is the ability for your children to interact with people of a variety of different ages. When you think about it, public school, everybody they interact with, other than the teacher, everybody they interact with, their birth date is within 6 months of them, right? Within a year of them. And so having the ability to interact with other people of other ages is a real gift. It's a gift to ourselves because homeschooling, as we're sitting there at home, homeschooling actually helps us learn how to homeschool. Homeschooling makes us better homeschoolers. Homeschooling increases our fortitude. Homeschooling makes our family better, and it gives the parent the gift of no regrets, knowing that they've done their best. It's also a benefit to our family because it's really a gift to our marriage as well. We have more time as a couple, less stress as you're not running out the door constantly. We have that shared vision and purpose and goal. We're all looking towards this goal of education. And we have more laughing together and crying together and stressing together. And that can increase our ability to be more collaborative. It's also a gift beyond our immediate family, and it's a gift to our grandparents in the family, because as you're homeschooling, you have more time available to give to grandparents. Now, maybe that means cards and letters and visits, but maybe it means shared family values. Maybe it means that you get to talk with them, providing this historical context for the things that happened in the last, I don't know, 80 years. Their stories can enrich the education of your children. Your writing letters to grandparents gives your children practice writing while developing this close relationship with their grandparents. And of course, the flexibility of homeschooling allows you to visit when it's convenient for everybody and not just wait till, I don't know, spring break or summer to have your visits. And that's all why homeschooling is a gift to your family. But that's not the only reason either, okay? The third way that homeschooling is a gift is that it's a gift to your friends and neighbors. Well, why is that? It's because we have the time to spend with our neighbors. We can fellowship with them. We have our evenings free of homework. Our children have their evenings free of homework. They can actually get to know the neighbors. This is how the kids are able to develop true friendships with other kids. This is how adults develop true adult friendships too. It's by having the time for socialization. One of the things that I am just astounded with currently is to see how many more people are interacting with their friends and neighbors in my neighborhood in the past year. It's because they have the time at home in order to see their neighbors. And I think that that's what homeschooling provides all the time. The other gift to our neighbors is that we are demonstrating educational alternatives. They may have never considered homeschooling before. It may be completely foreign to them. And your neighbors may be having trouble with the public school or public and private school. And they may have never considered homeschooling until they see you and see your example. So your example as a normal person doing normal homeschooling, having normal failures and normal stresses, that's all a great educational witness to your neighbors. The neighbors see our imperfections, but they will also see our successes. They know our children and their weaknesses, and yet they can see the results of what's happening. And so they may not, they may recognize that homeschooling is helpful, beneficial, even when a family isn't perfect, right? Because when it gets right down to it, if you and I can homeschool successfully, other families can too, because we're not perfect any more than they are. Now, the next reason why homeschooling is a gift is because homeschooling is a gift to employers, to universities, as your children grow up and they start to interact with the adult world, getting their jobs and careers. That's when you start to realize that homeschooling is a gift that keeps on giving into the adulthood of your children. I help parents homeschool through middle school and high school with an eye towards college. I interact with colleges a lot. And I remember one conversation I had with a college. They were very frustrated with public education. They said that the kids would come to college and they would have 4 years of English right there on their transcript. And yet the student wasn't able to do even the basics of college level English. And they were very frustrated. They weren't coming with the ability to read and write at even a high school level. Think about that for a moment. In fact, I want to kind of put your mind at ease if you do have a struggling learner. There has been some research, and over 1/3 of kids that are in freshman year of college, right? So they're smart enough to get into college. They've been admitted to college. 1/3 of those kids are remedial in reading or writing or math, right? So if you have a child that is remedial in reading, writing, and math, hey, welcome to the club. You're like the rest of the United States. Don't stress it. Just do your best. Okay. But if you're not, if your children are at grade level, this is why homeschooling is such a gift to employers and universities, because you as the homeschool parent, you are giving them this gift of educated and prepared applicants for the university or for the job. Now, not all kids have stellar test scores, and that's fine, but all homeschoolers can be well educated. They can all have that learned ability to teach themselves something. They can all have a strong work ethic, honesty, character values. They're so important no matter what job your children are going to go into in the future. People ask me all the time, how do you teach kids this strong work ethic? How do you teach kids how to learn themselves? And there is a curriculum for that I strongly recommend. You're writing this down, okay? It's called math. Math, I call math the hard work curriculum. Okay, so if you've ever wanted your children to learn a work ethic, math is your man. Okay, when they are learning math at their own level, whether that's pre-algebra or calculus, it's just always challenging for everyone, and they have to put it in their own head. You could teach math until you were blue in the face. They're not going to learn anything. They have to put the math in their own head. And so teaching math is not just because they're going to use math someday in their career. It's because it teaches them to work hard with their brain the way that we wish our children would work hard physically and, be prompt and all that stuff. But working hard is also an intellectual exercise, and that's why math is so important. But for colleges and careers, you're also giving them this gift of an eager mind. You're giving them the gift of someone who has that love of learning, who's eager to learn, interested in thinking different things. Also, these kids that have been homeschooling, they don't have that group think where everybody has to respond the same way to a question about their literature or else it's wrong, right? So instead, while homeschooling, we have been encouraging these creative thinkers. How do you think outside the box? So they're unencumbered by mass education. They have this ability to think outside the box across a variety of subject areas, which is one of the reasons why I encourage parents, especially in the high school level, to cover all of the basic subject areas, history and foreign language and fine arts. Even if your children aren't going to be using any of those things, it gives them their ability to think across subject areas and be more creative in their problem solving. But this gift to colleges and employers is also about having really passionate interests that children care about deeply, interests that they love. Sometimes it's horses. I knew a kid that was so interested in mushrooms, of all things. My child loved to play the piano. And these interests that they have, they can guide their college choices, their career planning, and their passionate interests are more likely to build a resume, even in high school, which can lead to better jobs. It builds interests and activities for their activity list, which means they're more likely to get scholarships. So all of that information benefits them, whether they're going to college or career. It's helpful for them to have this what I call delight-directed learning, these passionate interests that they care about that are things that they can pursue as part of school. So we've been covering all of these different ways that homeschooling is a gift to different things. And the fifth thing I wanted to share is that homeschooling is a gift to the world at large, right? These lifelong learners can learn anything in the future, and the world had better be prepared for us, okay? Homeschoolers are receiving preparation for the future. They have the adaptability. No matter what happens in our changing world, we've taught them to learn how to learn. when we get frustrated because we lose our ability to teach math, or we're in over our head with science or foreign language, and we tell our kids, okay, you know, you're going to have to buckle down and study it on your own, you know, that's how kids learn for any career in the future. So no matter what changes, technology changes all the time, right? College preparation changes all the time. But what doesn't change is having this broad base of instruction that prepares children for literally anything that happens in the future. Change happens. And so knowing how to learn is the safety net that's going to help them no matter what the future holds. Okay, so you want to make sure you have that vision for the future so that we can teach them about the big picture. We can teach them history so that we as a society are not destined to repeat history. We can encourage creativity that will help them create their own job or shape and mold our society as a whole. We can give them faith for an improved future. We can teach them faith consistently that will give the world a better world. It will be a better place to live if there's more people of faith. And faith has a positive impact on our community. And we can shape and mold their values and their moral behaviors so that in the future, they will always be influencing their peers, their cohort, and encouraging them to do good and do right too. And we can have that economic and political influence in our children that will shape and mold our society in the future. Now, the sixth and final way that homeschooling is a gift. I want you to think about this. Homeschooling is a gift to the Lord. Now, for some people, they know that in their heart of hearts. They might have started homeschooling years ago because they felt they were supposed to, but it's not their preference. It wasn't their idea. Some people homeschool because they were told to. Other people homeschool only because they feel empowered by the Lord. But I want you to think about this. Homeschooling is like, when I read the Old Testament and they talk about how this offering was a sweet sacrifice, like a love offering. That's what homeschooling is like. We're like the little drummer boy. We're giving what we can give. We can't cure cancer. You know, maybe we can't make a Hollywood blockbuster that's finally pure. But you know what we can do? We can educate our children at home. We're doing what we can do. And maybe we're feeling incompetent, but feeling incompetent is normal. Maybe we worry because we're not a certified teacher, but being a certified teacher can actually be an impediment to homeschooling because they go to school for 4 years to learn how to educate a large group, but that's not what you're doing. You're educating just a few people that you know and love dearly, which is a completely different skill set. So we're giving what we can, and the Lord will bless this gift. And we may feel like the little drummer boy story that our gift is pathetic, like the widow's mite, right? She just gave her 2 little pennies, but Jesus was the one that said she's given all that she has. And I know that that's what homeschooling feels like, because I homeschooled my own 2 children all the way through high school. And I know that it feels small, pathetic, insignificant, but it also feels like we've literally given our entire life away. So homeschooling is an act of faith, right? Let's think about Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. What that says to me is that homeschooling is a huge leap of faith. This is us trusting and jumping into the darkness. We are trusting that they're going to turn out okay. And our daily actions that we take as homeschoolers are a gift of faith. And we rely on God to bless these efforts. So what do we do when God asks us to do something? We do it without questioning, right? When he says jump, we say how high. And so whether our children end up going to college or graduate school or beyond, or they go to their best job or they get the biggest salary, that is not what we're to be concerned about. We are to be concerned about walking in faith. And when we walk in faith, we will be prepared for anything. Homeschooling is our unique calling. It's our vocation. We chose this job, whether we feel like we chose it or not. We chose this job. And what's interesting is that God has a unique call for each person. And so we know what God has called us to do because we are doing it. But we don't necessarily know what God is calling our friends and neighbors to do. I don't know if you've ever had a friend who's gone off to the mission field, but when that happens, it can be a little surprising. You know, it's like they just uprooted themselves and they go and they do these things. We don't always know the calling on other people's hearts. We only know what is the calling on our heart, and others are responsible to hear God in their own lives. We're responsible for our own behavior, not to criticize them for theirs. So homeschooling is a gift then to ourselves. And there's things that we are going to learn in the process of homeschooling. You're going to learn patience, 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 patience. You're going to learn strength. You're going to go from, I can't possibly do this, maybe when your children are in kindergarten, to when you've graduated from high school and thought, oh my gosh, I did do it. That's amazing, right? And many people start off thinking, I can't possibly manage beforehand. You're going to learn faith, right? One of the things that people tell me all the time is, I have learned that I am clearly not in control. That's what they learn from homeschooling. Humility. I am not in charge here. It is the Lord that's in charge. And I think that's a good lesson for every human to learn, right? So this is what the benefit is to us. We're also going to learn how to prioritize, right? If you had to choose between this and that, what is more important? And boy, I'll tell you, that prioritizing, that really does help children in the long run as you're trying to get them to become more balanced as adults. You're going to learn flexibility too. My husband always says that homeschool parents are like Elastigirl, right? Flexible. But having that flexibility can really make a difference, especially when you have struggling learners. So I just want to encourage you today that you will be thankful for homeschooling. Homeschooling is a gift. You're going to be thankful regardless of the struggles. There is no guarantee of our children's ultimate success in life, or that they will retain their faith, or that they will have a good job. We're not guaranteed any of that. But we can always be thankful that we took the time to homeschool. Because you see, when you get older, like me, you start to realize that I can no longer control my 30-year-old children. All I could control about homeschooling was my own behavior, not the results. The results are up to our children. They get to make free will and all that. But I could only control my own behavior. And that's why you're going to be thankful that you've homeschooled, because you will know 20 years from now, 10 years from now, you're going to know for a fact you gave it all, because you literally homeschooled your children. Who does that, right? You know that you've given it your all. And we have provided them the tools that they needed to make good choices, the wisdom that they needed to make good choices. The choices are up to them, but that's how you, as the parent, are going to live with no regrets, okay? You might want to write down Romans 11:29. The gifts and calling of God are irrevocable, which means you cannot mess up your children by homeschooling. I know people worry about that. What about scholarships? What about college? What about the prom? I mean, people worry about the weirdest things, right? But the gifts and calling of God are irrevocable. And think about Philippians 1:6 too, right? He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion in the day of Jesus Christ. Because you see, God is in control of the outcome. And what is our job? Our job is to do our best, to pray hard, and to love our child. And that is how we live our life without having regrets. Now, remember, I said this at the beginning, you do your best. I know you're going to get tired. I got tired. I was almost not able to function after 3 in the afternoon because I was tired. I'm a morning person. That's like bedtime at 3 in the afternoon, you know? I know you're going to get tired, but just doing your best, praying hard, loving your children, that's what's going to help you to be successful. So my name is Lee Binz, and my mission is to help parents homeschool middle school and high school. My job is to help you understand that being a homeschooler all the way through 12th grade is successful so that you don't panic and quit out of fear. And I can help you with that. I did homeschool my own 2 children from early middle school all the way through high school graduation. And they're normal kids. They both got full tuition scholarships to their first choice Christian university. And so they're doing well now. And I just want to encourage you that you can homeschool grades 7 to 12 with confidence. You can visit my website for more help. The website is homehighschoolhelp.com, homehighschoolhelp.com. And if this has been really helpful for you, I just wanted you to know I have a book on finding the faith to homeschool high school. If you are struggling to motivate your children, you might also like the book, How to Motivate Homeschool Teens. These are both available on Amazon. Listen, whatever you're most concerned about with homeschooling high school, I encourage you to learn more about that today, because what I see in my job is people that are so afraid of something about high school that they quit and bail. So if you can just find answers to your biggest questions now, you'll be more strong and consistent throughout. So if you need to make transcripts or course descriptions or coordinate tests or be the guidance counselor or navigate college admission or make sure your children get scholarships, that's what I do. And again, my name is Lee Binz. I'm the HomeScholar, and you can visit my website on homehighschoolhelp.com. So I wanted to thank you all for being here today. I've enjoyed chatting with you, and I'm looking forward to coming down to Oregon again soon. Take care. Bye.